Doug Zarkin, who's the Chief Marketing Officer for Pearle Vision, which is a division of Luxottica.
I knew coming out of graduate school that I eventually wanted to lead a business, lead a brand. And back when I graduated grad school, there was no LinkedIn. And so the way that you figured out how to navigate your career journey was to get some advice from friends and family. And a good friend of ours told me, he said, Doug, if you want to eventually be in the C-suite, driving the train, get on at the back end and work your way to the front, so that by the time you are in the C-suite, you'll understand all the roles and functions that go with leading a brand. You'll have done many of them, and most importantly, you'll be in a great position to motivate those people in those roles. And so I started out my career in the agency business. My first career was a decade in the agency world, from going from a media planner all the way up to starting a division of the largest private agency in the world at that time, Gray Advertising, and then moved to the client side, where I was the founding marketing and creative services director for Avon's young women's product, Mark. Took that business to about 118 million and was recruited out by the folks at Victoria's Secret to take this little brand called Pink that was in test market and blow it up. From there, I spent a significant amount of time in wholesale apparel. And then through a relationship that I had made while I was at Limited, found my way to Luxottica about 9 years ago, and currently am the CMO of Pearle Vision. There is no right way or wrong way to migrate your career forward. There's just a way. For me, if I look back at the early part of my career, I was probably working 60-hour weeks. I wanted to work harder and work smarter to really make a difference and get noticed, and hopefully through that find my way to opportunities. I would say that the most important piece of advice that I would give myself is to continue to focus on the hustle. It only takes one. It only takes one brand that wants you as a leader for you to find that right role. But I would say just continue to focus on the hustle, outwork, outthink, and eventually good things will come. I have an amazing bullshit detector. I probably can look at a document and just smell out nonsense quicker than anybody I know. Being successful is not about just generating success. It's how you handle adversity. There are such things in your life and in business as a successful failure. And I would qualify that as not having the same failure twice. So welcome those learning experiences, trim back on the mistakes. And when things happen repeatedly, that's when you really need to have a hard conversation. But, my finely tuned bullshit detector is exactly that. It is incredibly strong. You have to be transparent. You have to be authentic. You have to be genuine, both in your personal life and your business. And when you don't, that's when things go sideways. The ecosystem of, the loss of cookies, some advertiser changes by Apple, advertiser changes by Facebook. Those are all rational challenges that we're facing. But I think the emotional challenge is how do you earn trust with a consumer? Is that evolving? If so, how? What is the most important marketing tool in your toolbox? Has that changed? If so, how? How are you blending the art and science of marketing in an ever-growing technology world? Those are all forces that are at work. And I think probably the single biggest challenge that I'm facing right now is, how to use data for good, not for evil. My wife, my kids, the desire to provide them with every advantage possible. And that pushes me to continue to think, to be a leader who listens in order to lead, but who also isn't afraid to sort of flex the degree of arrogance any marketer needs to have to say, listen, I can actually motivate a consumer to take the action I want them to take when I want them to take them. That's an incredibly bold statement that every marketer on the planet has to make. Mm-hmm. The ability to actually think that you can get into the mind of a consumer and motivate them to do what you want them to do or the business wants them to do at the precise time with the precise behavior that you want. I mean, put that on a resume. For me, it begins and ends with passion. I am not, especially with entry-level folks, junior-level folks, I'm not hiring you for what you know. I'm hiring you for what you want to learn and for your ability to take that learning and eventually pay us back with your contribution to the business. So, I hire for passion. I celebrate progress, not perfection, because perfection is highly unlikely. And the most important thing is I want somebody who has a sense of purpose. Purpose is a requirement. That purpose to make a difference as a person, not just the role that you're in or the title that you've been given. Purpose in the decision making and the way in which you behave, both internally and externally. Purpose for what you believe our pathway forward should be. But it all emanates from a bullseye. I want passionate drivers, people who want to make a difference, people who like to win. I think a big responsibility of being a leader is to actually lead. And it's not just leading the business forward, but it's leading people through their career journey. For me, what I try to do is to create an environment where people have the authority to make decisions. They have the autonomy and the freedom to do so, but also have that accountability. So it's not a free-for-all where people are spending money left and right, but it's in bolding people that if they have an idea and they present a great business case, that they can actually affect change in our business. For me, I'm not a micromanager. I don't believe in it. It's not a culture I work well in, and it's certainly not a culture that I want to create for my team. It's a family, truly. And I know that sounds ridiculously ethereal, but it's a great sort of way to summarize the ecosystem of a high-performing team because, look, families fight. Families have good days and bad days, but families, at the end of the day, have each other's backs. And, every status call that we have, does everybody leave with the goosies feeling great? No. But I will tell you, this team knows that I'll go to the ends of the earth for them. And I know they'll do the same for me because they realize that we all have the same intent and that we all care about each other's growth and development. Them for me as well. They help me be a better leader.